Welcome to The Real Life Buyer. In this podcast, you will discover interviews with procurement and technical experts, business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. These experts will help you to develop and grow, accelerate your career, improve your business, save money, and buy smart. Now introducing The Real Life Buyer, Dave Barr.
Hello and welcome to The Real Life Buyer. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Robert Raymond Riopel from Calgary in Canada. Robert is a highly sought after trainer and speaker and has personally taught over an incredible 250,000 people. After transforming from $150,000 in debt, and I would be very stressed out if that was me, to completely financially free by the age of 32, and I wish I was back at 32, but I'm not, Robert discovered his passion for training others. Robert only teaches from his personal experiences, struggles, and wins, which I really appreciate. He is the author of the international best-selling book, Success Left a Clue, is an app designer, and no doubt a serial entrepreneur. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome Robert onto the podcast. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Dave. Great to be here. And I am looking forward to having some fun with you and your audience.
Fantastic. Well, let's play away then. So it's really good that you joined us today because I know you are extremely busy, but you have an unusual story of how you came from, should we say, less than nothing to become a celebrated and successful speaker and trainer. Do you mind just sharing a little bit of background about this journey that brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I want your audience to understand right away, Dave, is that I'm no different than anybody else. I have my great times and I have my struggles. And a lot of the things actually that I've achieved in life started with necessity. You know, they say necessity is the mother of all creation. And so here I am, I'm 21, I'm a newlywed, and I'm out of work again because the company I was working for laid me off. They're shutting the factory down. So out of necessity, the only job I could find was delivering pizzas for Domino's Pizza. Because of my work ethic, I end up becoming a manager. My wife becomes my assistant. We start doing what we know to do. We start working hard, open to close 7 days a week. And a year and a half later, we end up getting hit with the possibility of being laid off again because our franchisee announced, I'm about to sell the stores. I'm done with Domino's Pizza. I'm selling my 2 stores. And we knew that when a store got sold, the managers were the first ones to go because the owners came in and wanted to have their own team in place. And so my necessity was we better start calling other franchisees and find another store to work for. And my wife's like, why would we do that? We're qualified to be franchisees. Why don't we just buy the store? And I looked at her, I'm like, because we don't have any money. That's why we don't buy the store. But see, I was raised to be an in-the-box thinker and don't question the box. My wife was raised, what box? Figure a way out. And so through making a lot of mistakes, trials and tribulations, but learning from each one, we actually were able to get 100% financing to buy both the stores that my franchisee had for sale with no money of our own. And we became franchisees. And it was like, oh, we've got it made. We're now successful. We're franchisees. And we knew how to run a store in the beginning, but we didn't know how to run a business. And I think you'll agree, there's a total big difference there. Yeah. And we made a lot of mistakes. And after a couple of years, we got it all straightened around. We started making pretty good money. But again, our programming, the way our beliefs were, as we started making money, we started spending more money than we were earning. And next thing you know, 8 years into being franchisees, we're $150,000 in personal debt, going down very quickly. And I don't know about you, but financial stress is some of the worst stress I've ever experienced in my life. And because of necessity, again, going back to that, someone gave us tickets to a personal development training, a 3-hour training. We went to it. It blew us away. We instantly ran to the back at the end, paid $600 to go to a 3-day training that was going to expand on what we had learned about our mindset and our money. And that was 3 months later. And we only showed up at that training to get our money back because we had gone through buyer's remorse. We're $150,000 in debt. We can't afford this. But luckily, they didn't fight me on it. They just said, look, come on in, listen for a bit. We'll figure out how to do a refund. And after a couple hours, we were in that energy, changing our lives. We walked away from that weekend because we learned, A, why we were in debt and how to manage our money. But B, most importantly, we learned how to take responsibility for our debt. Quit blaming other people. And then the third thing is we decided we were going to take actions. We were going to actually implement what we learned. And walking out of that weekend, we ended up going from over $150,000 in financial personal debt to actually being retired completely financially free 9 months later. And my mind went, wow, that worked. And that's when we dove into learning from as many people as we could, because I was like, if this information gave me that result, what would more do? And as we became avid students, I found my passion, and it was to teach other people. And here's how my dream started, Dave. It wasn't like travel around the world, impact hundreds of thousands of lives. It was, if I could help one person, even one person do what my wife and I had been able to do, go from debt to being financially free, it'd all be worthwhile. And now 18 and a half plus years later, I have been blessed to travel around the world several times. And I've actually now personally taught over 500,000 students all over the world, and just living my passion and loving it. And that's kind of where I'm at today.
Really amazing. So as you said, to finance the business without your own personal money, it's quite incredible. People are actually thinking, how on earth do you do that? So I guess that's a story in itself there. But that says an awful lot about the character, not only of yourself, but of your wife, your partner. What would you say, sort of teased out, what's the character sets that distinguish somebody to take on that sort of challenge?
It was the perseverance and tenacity that I'm not going to give up. And one of the things I would notice around the world probably is people give up a little too quickly. And that was me. I will be the first to admit, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my wife. You see, even as we were starting to learn how to buy the store, every time something went wrong or didn't go the way I thought it should, I wanted to give up. And she's like, no, we're not. And so we'd look, what did we learn? We'd readjust, we'd go at it again. And so that characteristic, and my wife, youngest of 5, raised by a single mother. So she was taught, you have to be self-reliant. You figure things out. And so because of that perseverance on her part, it bled over into me. And today it's a gift we give each other of not giving up on life or each other and moving forward. So we now have the mindset of let's figure it out instead of just saying we can't.
One of the things I'm quite curious when I read your book, when you talk about a dream board, can you explain what this is, how it is used, and why it has a significant impact on your potential?
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting is even since I wrote the book, because I'm always learning, I've updated my thinking. I'm a big believer in dream boards, but nowadays I actually have switched it to vision boards. And I'll explain the difference on that in a moment. So take even a piece of paper and you go to a magazine or you go online and you get pictures of what you'd really love to have in your life. And you cut them out and you just paste them on it so you can visually see it. Visual is memorable. And you put it up in front of you somewhere where you can see it on a daily basis. It's not, how am I going to achieve this? It's just, if you had because I'm aerodynamic, picture me as the genie in front of you. And I'm saying, I will grant you 3 wishes or more as long as you're clear on what you want. And so if you were to kind of picture that, what would I truly desire in my life? What would I like my health to look like? My family life, my home, my vehicle? What kind of trips would I like to take? What would I love to do? And as you visualize that, put it on the dream board. Now, here's the update. One of my students, who's become a good friend, she updated my thinking to why I call it a vision board. She said, the problem with a dream board is dreams are just dreams until you put action to them. And unfortunately, most people, that's the missing link. They don't take action. That's why I made it step number 3 in my book, is you must take action. She says, but a vision board is dreams plus action will create your vision. And to me, that was brilliant. So now it's about having vision boards. And because what you do is you dream about it, you put the pictures there, and let's say your dream is something 3 to 5 years down the road. Now work backwards. What would that look like in a year? What would it look like? And what would you have to do in the next 30 days to bring it to reality? What would you have to do in the next 7 days to bring it to reality? What could you do tomorrow to actually bring that dream to reality? That's a vision board, because now you break it down into actionable bite-sized chunks that keeps you from getting overwhelmed. And, you know, as Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, which is so true. But of course, Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So by having a vision board and sharing it, then you can get the input from the people in your life that are willing to help you move towards it. And one of my mentors, I love something he said, never share your dreams and your visions with anybody that can't help you achieve them. See, one of the things that stops most people is they go, oh, I've got this dream, I want to do this. And the negative dream stealers around them will go, yeah, but you don't have the right education. You're not smart enough. You weren't born in the right family. And they give you all the reasons why I can't. Well, don't share your dreams with them. Share them with the growth-minded people that are going, awesome. How can I support you? What can I do to make it a reality? And one of the ways to even make it more powerful, if you're a law of attraction believer, and this was taught to me by this same amazing young lady. Oh my goodness. Her vision boards, she actually doesn't just put the pictures on them. She'll actually take her face or her body and put it into the picture before she prints it off. So she actually sees herself in that completion. That's amazing. So that's kind of an overview of what they are, how they work.
You think that the more detailed, therefore, they are, the more beneficial they are to help you plan how to get somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think of vision boards. I'm thinking of the old, you're watching TV, you've got the FBI trying to figure out a case, and they've got all the photographs of different scenarios, but they use that to break things down and ask themselves questions and challenge what they do. Could this be another way of using that media then to help you to uncover things that perhaps you wouldn't do if they were just written down in text form?
That's exactly it. And I love that analogy, because if you really want to make it more powerful, have the dream and then connect a little piece of yarn or whatever to get here. It's connected to this, which is connected to this, because the clearer you can make the path for yourself, the easier it is to take those steps.
The characters that you referred to correctly is T. Harv Eker, obviously a successful mentor in his own right. And you referred to obviously intently observing him, learning from him, perhaps even mirroring him. So what do you believe is the most important benefits of finding the right mentor for you?
Well, first of all, a mentor, and to me, the difference between a mentor and a coach is someone who's going to ask you questions. What do you want? Draw out of you, help you stay accountable. A mentor is someone who's achieved what you want to achieve. And basically they say, if you want to be where I'm at, do this, do this, do this. And so for me, having a mentor most people think they have to figure it out on their own. And one of the easiest ways to have success, Dave, is find someone who's done what you want to accomplish and then find out how they did it. Now, with mentors, though, it takes some creativity and it definitely takes tenacity, because some of the greatest mentors aren't that are out or around aren't alive anymore. So this is why I love biographies, reading and watching biographies, because I want to know not just what is their success, but I want to know the journey. How did they get there? And when it comes to a mentor, one of the biggest things I tell people, only mentor from people that have the same values as you. If someone's sitting there and they can say, well, I can show you how to get rich, but you're looking at them going, I just don't like that person, then don't mentor from them. Don't just do it because they can teach you how to be rich. So find a mentor that's in alignment with you, and then creative, read their books, find their trainings, look for a biography. Or what I did, because T. Harv Eker, he said he didn't have time to mentor me to do one-on-one, and it would cost me about $1 million if he did. So my wife and I did a lot of volunteering, where I even at one point was his personal assistant for I've paid all my own expenses. I was not getting paid anything to do it. If need be, I shined his shoes. There's times when we couldn't get his shirts pressed in time for a training, so I'd press his shirts. I deliver food, and I did it with a smile on my face, because as his assistant, I had access to him that very few people get. So I got to watch his every move, and he ended up mentoring me without even knowing he was mentoring me, and without it costing me $1 million. It cost me a couple of years of my life and some funds to travel and stay at the trainings so I could be there and be of service. So creative and tenacity, find a way to get who you want to learn from to really model them, because that's how, look, if I hadn't modeled him, I wouldn't be where I am today around the world, impacting as many lives as I have.
So obviously you're intently involved with him. Does that mean that you basically learn to think in a similar way to how he thinks? Because people can copy. If they don't understand the mindset behind that, the thought process behind that, then perhaps they can't emulate it.
Right. I'm all about systems. So for the first year I was a trainer, because I'd learned the systems, I modeled him to the T, but it took me a year to put me into the system. And then, so now I still use the same system, but it's now my stories, my beliefs into it. And, for the first 18 years, I taught his material around the world. And since COVID, I've now been developing my own programs because obviously I'm not traveling around the world. I'm doing everything virtually. So it's now been my time to bring and develop my trainings, which is, I've had them in me for the last decade plus, but because my commitment was teaching the material that changed my life, that's what I was doing. Now I'm taking my experiences and putting it into my words, but using the same system. So absolutely, the mindset for me was model closely, don't try and reinvent it. But now that it's time for me to be known for who I am and my trainings, other than someone who contracted out to teach others, that's where the adjustment's coming. And because of the years of experience, it's an easier transition because I know how to deliver the information. I know how to design powerful trainings. I know how to get results. Because if you look at it, when you talk about the real life buyer as an example, I'm probably one of the easiest people to be sold to because I'm willing to just dive in and take a chance. I don't beat myself up if it didn't work out. I take that responsibility. And because of that, I've also been able to do over $100 million in sales from the stage over the last 20 years because I'm coming from that perspective of I'm a buyer. What is it I would really like? And that's how I, talk to my audience. I don't talk at them. I have a conversation with them, which is a big difference.
One thing that's coming across is the passion, perhaps even an obsession about what you do and what you enjoy. Do you think is critical to have that kind of drive to be successful?
Yes. And the reason is because what people see in an interview or when I'm on stage, that's only the tip of what it took to get there. What I call the unsexy, boring as hell, monotonous practice that goes on behind the scenes. And people go, well, Robert, I want to do what you do. And I say, if you want to do what I do, then be willing to do what I do behind the scenes. And so if you don't have that passion, you're going to give up. And I see that too many times because when people they're drawn by the money. Oh, I want to make the kind of money you do. And here's one of my rules, because I've been blessed to train thousands of trainers around the world. My number one rule, if I'm going to mentor someone, the moment I feel it's about the money for you, I will not train you anymore because that's the wrong reason. Money is only going to take you so far if you're chasing the money. But if you do something because you're passionate about it, you have a message to give, you have people to help, money becomes a beautiful side effect. See, and that's where the passion, because I'm going to put people through the ringer of do this again and again and again. What does it say? To become a master, it takes 10,000 hours or 10,000 times doing it. But most people aren't willing to do it 100 times. And then they wonder why they can't have the success. So that passion, if you're absolutely passionate about it, it's going to get you to do it one more time and then another time. That behind the scenes work is what's going to make it the real thing when you're living your passion in front of people.
So got interested in that. I'm reading the David Goggins book at the moment. It's the chap who's a Navy SEAL. And he put himself essentially through the ringer day in and day out and took as many knocks as probably one could imagine. So this is pretty similar in the respect when somebody works with you, you put them through their paces basically as the guys doing their SEAL training, and they're going to take some rough knocks, but the strength of character is the thing that does drive them on and through, I guess.
Absolutely. And my goal is to try to convince them they don't want to be a trainer, because I want to see if they're willing to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. I'm tending to find that the more I learn, the more driven I feel to learn more. So in fact, if I'm sat watching TV, I'm quite uncomfortable with that now because I could be doing something a little bit more productive, even though we all need a bit of relaxation time. Why do you think so many people stop learning after leaving the education system? And what do you see as a great way to reignite one's passion to continue to learn after you've left school and college and so forth?
Well, first of all, understand school wasn't designed to give people passion. Look, if you look at the origins of school, it was started as a way of taking care of the kids while the parents were in the factories. And then it was decided that we can train our next, level of workers. And that's kind of what the school system does. So no wonder. And like as a kid, I hated to study. I barely got through grade 12, graduated like with 51% average. But today, because I'm now learning and doing what I love, to study is not a problem because I'm passionate about it. So the key to me is to reignite that passion is find out what you enjoy. Do that. That will fuel the passion. And of course, people will go, but Robert, I can't make money doing that. Or, I've heard, I can't be an artist because starving artist. Haven't you heard that saying? And that program's playing on in their head. But this is again where creativity comes in. If you're truly following what your passion is, even as if it might be difficult in the beginning, and even if you hit roadblocks, which you will, because of that passion that you're truly waking up in the morning going, oh, I get to do again what I love to do, you're more apt to actually take another step and do the required things like the studying, the practicing, and you're going to be so happy about it, even if you are tired, instead of, well, I have to do this just to earn money at my job that I hate. Well, no wonder the resistance is there. And then what do people do? They end up sitting in front of the TV more and more, or they get caught on social media, caught up in watching videos and wasting a lot of time there. That's why you see that. See, I'm a big believer and I live by the calendar on my phone, but I do my calendar a little different than most people, Dave. See, the first thing, and I talk about this in my new book I'm writing called The Authority Key. And I talk about something called the 4 phases of life. And one of the phases is the pamper phase. You cannot give what you don't have. See, you talked about it's good to still have some downtime and watch some TV. So for me, my wife and I, before we put anything else on our calendar, we actually put in our pamper pieces, our balance pieces, time for each other, time for ourselves, time for family, our health. I like watching TV. So if I don't allow myself to watch TV, I will sabotage my success in other ways. So we actually put in our pamper pieces. Then the second thing that we put in is what's called focus time. One of the other things that gets a lot of people overwhelmed is they're like, well, I'm so busy. You don't understand. I don't have time. And people have become really good at being busy, but they're not good at being productive. And there's a big difference between the two. So the second thing I put on my calendar is my productive time. I call them focus times in hour-long chunks, because research has shown that you can't truly stay focused on something for more than an hour at a time. So if I do an hour of focus time, I'm more productive than 6 hours of being busy, which actually frees up time. So then my wife and I can take time and watch a couple hours of TV to wind down at the end of the day without feeling guilty and sabotaging our success.
If we were to look at your diary, do you have specific blocks basically for different activities? Like some people start the morning with a specific routine, exercise and so on and so forth, and they do it. Perhaps I think you're probably more alert at certain times of the day. Straight out of lunch, you try and obviously avoid that to do your best task. So what would a snapshot of your diary look like?
The only consistent thing on my diary is what I do in the first 15 to 20 minutes when I wake up. Now, no matter what time I wake up, because there's some days I call freedom days, where if I want to sleep in all day, that's what I do. And so I have days that'll start at 6 a.m. or earlier because I have time zones all over the world I work with, but I have days that don't start until 10. So I don't block in that, this needs to be done every day at a certain time. But in my morning when I wake up, a couple of my routines are, as I'm starting to become conscious and notice I'm waking up, I watch for the first thought in my head. And if it's negative or non-supportive whatsoever, I grab it quickly, I cancel it out, put it aside, and I replace it with a supportive belief, because I want to start my day off in an upswing. And then when I get up, the next thing I do is I will actually take and write in my success and gratitude journal. It started off as 5 successes from the day before, but it's morphed over the years into not only what were my successes, and I want to be clear for everybody. A success could be something as easy as I got out of bed today. It doesn't have to be huge, big successes. It could be, I told my wife I love her. I did the dishes. It doesn't matter. A success is a success. But now, not only do I write down successes, I think to myself, who and what am I grateful for in my life right now? And I'll do that as well. And then I've taken it to another level over this past year and a half since, the lockdowns, is when someone comes to my mind that I'm grateful for, obviously I'm thinking of them for a reason. It usually brings me back to a time or something we did with them. And so instead of just writing their names down now, I actually will somehow through either Messenger or Facebook or text or whatever, I'll actually send a voice message to them. Now, no attachment that they hear it or not, no attachment to whether they get back to me or not. It's simply for me to express my gratitude to the universe. And it might be something as simple as, hey, Dave, it's Robert here. And just wanted to let you know that in my gratitude journal today, I thought of you and the time I was on your interview. And I really appreciate what you're doing for people on this planet. Thank you for being you. And then I send it with no attachment. And doing that over the, taking that first 5, 10, 15 minutes in the morning and just doing that, it sets me up for a very much different energy day that sets me up for more success. And everything after that is whatever I've scheduled in. Some of the consistent things, I do have an addictive personality that when I latch onto something, I just go, go, go. And so when we had to do the conversion from me flying around to not being able to anymore, I was having days that would go 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. on the phone, doing Zoom calls, talking to people and that. And my wife noticed I was getting burnt out. So she put on the calendar 12 to 1:30, lunchtime. And at lunchtime, we put our phones down, we have lunch, we play cards, and we connect. And then she added dinner, 6 to 8. And at dinner time, we put down our phones, we have dinner, we watch a little bit of TV, and we connect. And making those two adjustments made for the rest of my days to be able to be maintained energetically instead of me getting wiped out.
Okay. Do you, there's some people who look at their priorities and they plan quite rigorously. Well, there's a few guys I know that on a Sunday night, they take an hour or two to plan their following week and perhaps even months. And some guys go even to yearly goals. Is that something that you do as well?
Not that far in advance for sure. No, but my wife and I do sit down. We try to do quarterly. And the only things we're working on for that quarter are balance pieces and then some focus times, because then the rest can be filled in as life changes day to day. But if we take care of those priorities first and get them on, then it allows us to have the flexibility as from day to day, how things change.
One of my favorite quotes is actually from Ziegler, and it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. He struck a chord with me some time ago. What are your thoughts on the importance of personal attitude? And what other factors do you think are critical to achieving your goals and aspirations?
No, you just hit it right on the head. It is the attitude. I will take someone, say, let's go to trainers again. I would rather work with someone who has never trained a day in their life, but they have the attitude that they want to, they're passionate about training and they want to help people, versus someone who's done trainings and now has the attitude of, well, I already know that, because your attitude, and I tell people, have the attitude of gratitude, because when you do have that attitude of gratitude, so much more is possible. An example of that, this past weekend, one of the local RV dealerships, they decided to take some of their extra budget because they didn't do the big RV shows this year. They decided to do something for the community, and they did a swap meet where anybody who had an RV they wanted to sell, no charge, they come on Saturday to their lot, they'd set it up, you could be there, and they're inviting everybody to come and look at all these RVs and sell. Now, it was the first time I ever did it. Not sure how it worked. There's about 55 of us there with our RVs. And we had from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., maybe about 30 people come and look at RVs. That's it. And I was watching, because I'm always loving to watch people. I'm loving to watch people. And I'm watching some people having fun. They brought their kids, they brought their dogs, they have games out, and they're just making the day of it. But I'm watching how many people were grumpy. Where are the buyers? This isn't working. Why did I waste my time? And what a great notice. And then as some people started pulling out early because they're like, I'm done with this. They're hooking up their RVs, they're pulling out. And the sales manager who organized the whole thing, he's walking around and apologizing. And he came up to me and I'm like, look, thank you, Justin, for putting this on. He goes, I'm sorry it didn't work out the way we thought. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, how many businesses even thought to do this? No one. You did. So what if it didn't work? You're going to learn from it. And if you guys choose to do it again, you're going to make adjustments. I just want to let you know I'm thankful that you thought to do this. And all of a sudden his energy changed. See, you impact people whether you know it or not. You're either going to affect them with your greatness or you're going to infect them with your mediocrity. And so too many people have that mediocre attitude, and that's spreading to the people around them, and they wonder why their lives are maybe not as great as they'd like them to be. But if you uplift your attitude and you look at that, okay, what's right in the situation? I'm not going to look for what's wrong. What's right? Watch your life change. Guaranteed.
It's a brilliant soundbite there. I'm definitely going to use that. That's a fantastic quote. I really enjoyed that. That's made me think. The point about positive mindset. Now, you were surrounded by people that had turned maybe from a positive into a negative because they didn't get the kind of recognition or the action and activity around that, but you stayed positive. So why is it that people find it so difficult to dig themselves out of a negative mindset and not look at the best of something, only look at the worst? Is that a societal thing? Is it because we watch too much news? What is it that is causing this?
Yeah, combination of both. Right from a child, what we're learning, experiencing, hearing as we're growing up, that has an impact on how we make our decisions when we get older. But news as well. Look at the research. Research has proven that 1 minute, for every 1 minute of negative, non-supportive information you take in, to neutralize it, not even to get past it and above it, but to neutralize it, it takes 5 times or 5 minutes of positive, supportive information to neutralize 1 minute of negative. So no wonder, and look, CNN, constantly negative news. I mean, whatever it stands for, CNN. I choose not to watch the news because I don't have, why would I, understanding this, why would I put myself in that position to have to work 5 times harder just to neutralize? And so in the morning when I wake up on one of my LinkedIn feeds, it gives me the daily rundown. In 30 seconds, I can browse it. That's all I need to know. That's everything I need to know. And after that, I just focus on where do I want my life to go, not what crap is happening around me. And people go, well, Robert, isn't that just being, you're just trying to ignore things? No, I'm designing the life I want. Today is a big day here in Canada. It's our federal election. And nothing gets people divided like elections. And it's all the bad and the crap. And this is why my wife woke up this morning. She goes, so who are we voting for today? And it's like, well, we're going to go to the poll. And in that moment, which one just resonates with us? Because we've heard some of their, what we've done some work to study. What is it that they believe in? What do they want? What do they don't want? And we're looking at their position. And then we're going to make a choice. It's not going to be, well, but did you hear about the crap that they did or this person did? No, I don't have time for that. I want to design the life I want. So here's my goal, Dave. I'm going to design in my life an economy where no matter who's in government or what company I have worked for, I'm not relying on them to support me. I'm designing an economy that I could live anywhere in the world I want because I've taken care of my own economy. And that's a different mindset for people.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of leads me on. We're talking about goals there, and we just talked about all the negativity that we're surrounded by. And I think it's that negativity that puts the doubt, the fears, the failures, the sort of the risk of ridicule for people to take action. And so the obvious thing is, let's avoid the ridicule and all those negative things and just not do anything. Why put myself out there and expose myself to all this bad stuff? If people really struggle to overcome that, do you have any tips to help people to say, look, what the hell, what people say, just go for it?
Yeah, I would recommend a book, first of all, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Love that book. And one of the agreements is don't take things personally. And because when you realize that no matter what someone says to you, it actually has nothing to do with you. It's all about what's going on in that person themselves that they're just projecting onto you. And that's the good, bad, or otherwise. So it's not like, I love what he says, just because someone puts poison on your plate doesn't mean you have to eat it, right? And so some people then go, oh, okay. So when someone says negative to me, I'm just not going to take that personally. I'll just take in the good stuff. No, the good stuff has nothing to do with you either. And I'll let you know, and I want your audience to hear this, is one of the things I work with it daily is low self-esteem. Who am I? And that's a journey I'm on day to day, because normally the people that try to hold you back, what I call the dream stealers, are the people closest to you, family members and friends. But understand they're not doing it to be malicious. They are doing it out of love to protect you. They don't want you to get hurt. And that's where you have to understand your journey is your journey, good, bad, or otherwise. And so just having that kind of, as you take each step, being there and saying, what is it I truly want? This is why you want to dream big. Look, when I put my vision boards together, not everything comes to fruition or it doesn't happen the way I wanted to. But because I still continue to dream big, I'm way further ahead than people that don't allow themselves to dream at all. So anytime you have a negative or non-supportive come up, here's a tip. A, read that book, The 4 Agreements. But B, this is why you want to surround yourself with growth-minded people. And because I'm a continuous learner, this has been a paradigm shift for me over the last year. See, up until last year, I was always about surround yourself with like-minded people. But as my one mentor who kind of gave me the paradigm shift said, he said, if you're surrounded by a group of complainers, you're going to be a complainer if you're like-minded. He says, but a growth-minded person, not only are they there to pick you up when you fall, they become your greatest cheerleading squad when you're doing well. But more importantly, they are the people that are willing to have the tough conversations with you when need be. And that changed my whole life. See, left to ourselves, we'll go into our own misery. Quit trying to do everything on your own. Surround yourself with amazing growth-minded individuals so that, a gift my wife gives me, she's not willing to let me play smaller than I am. And sometimes that means giving me a swift kick in the ass and says, step up your game. Because if it was up to me, I'd be in a job and miserable, but I'd be comfortable. And now we gift each other with that. She's not willing to let me play smaller than I am. I'm not willing to let her play smaller than she is. So find those people in your life that are willing to hold you to that higher standard.
One of the things that I certainly see people having a struggle with, and you've overcome this because you're able to go up and speak to an extremely large audience. Now, people, this including myself in this, I'm okay with one-to-one and one-to-few. How do you make that transition to one-to-many and keep your mind focused to deliver the kind of speeches and teaching that you do?
Well, first of all, I learned a system. And then 2, practice, practice, practice. When I started training, and not to give away my age, because Dave, I think you and I are close to the same age, is when I started training, I actually had a 13-inch TV with the built-in VHS player on the bottom.
Yep, I remember those.
And I was carrying it from hotel to hotel so that every night before I do a 3-hour talk, I was watching over and over and over again. I was going through my notes, going through my notes, watching. And because of that practice, it allowed me to get out of here because I knew the information. I can now be connected with my audience. And when you're connected with your audience, it's not nearly as scary as when you're trying to think and figure out what to say. And so how many speakers or trainers have you seen out there where it seems like it's the same words, like they've rehearsed it 1,000 times and they're talking over your heads and they're not actually connecting with you because to them, they've just got this routine. That comes out of fear of they don't really want to connect. So I want to have it so known. And this is where that studying, remember I said I hated studying, but I chose that I wanted to be able to be so present and authentic on that stage that I was willing to put the work in and the study, the behind the scenes, practice, 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 practice. I hate seeing myself on camera, but I would record myself and then watch and replay and make adjustments. And so I was willing to put that work in, and I still do today, even though I've been training for almost 20 years. I still put the practice in today to make sure that when I'm having a conversation with an audience, I'm talking to them, not at them. And that's allowed me, no matter whether it's 2 people or 6,000 people, I can have the confidence. And am I still a little freaked out on stage? Yes. But after a couple of minutes, and one of the things I do to that's my anchor, is within the first 10 minutes when I'm on a stage, I'll come down off the stage. I'll find someone in the audience I know is tall. I'll ask them to assist me, and they'll stand up, they'll stand beside me. We'll look at the camera so the big jumbo screens can see us and everybody can see. And I'll go, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to notice something. I am short. And usually I get a laugh out of the audience, and I'll thank the person, have them sit down. And then I'll continue to walk through the audience, and I'll ask the audience, why do you think I want you to understand that? And why do you think I told you? Well, just because I'm the one on the stage does not make me any better than you. I'm no different. I'm the same. I came from the same place. I'm going back to the same place. So we're all the same. Now, is it possible I may have information you don't? Absolutely. That's why you're here to learn. But isn't it also possible every single one of you has information I don't? So while I'm teaching you this weekend, I'm going to be watching you and learning from you at the same time, which makes it a win-win situation. And so please don't put me on a pedestal just because I'm on the stage and look taller. Know that I'm not tall. I'm just a human like everybody else. And the moment I put that into place, now I can really do the deep work with everyone because I'm taking their perception like I could never be like him. And they start to believe like, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's the key where I want my students and my audience to be.
It's quite interesting. So I'm thinking the key word I'm picking up here is engagement. So you specifically engage with individuals. Now I'm thinking whenever I do a presentation or other people do them that I admire, they do engage with people. So those people know that at any one time they could be pulled into the conversation. So firstly, that keeps them alert, I guess, thinking, oh my God, he might go and pick on me. But it also means that they take more notice. If you're being spoken at, your tendency is to drift off after a period of time and become interested or disengaged and see something else going on. But you're purposefully now engaging with individuals so that they become part of your show, with your address to them.
Absolutely.
So,
it's called accelerated learning. And even today, think about this. Anybody who's listening to this episode that wants to be a speaker or a trainer, I'm doing almost all of my trainings virtually through Zoom. And do you think I just sit there and talk when I'm on Zoom? No. I've got them high-fiving the camera themselves. I've got them interacting. I'm using the breakout rooms so that they can be talking about what they just learned with other people. I'm taking shares from them. So it's just like I'm still on a stage, because how easy is it on Zoom to have your camera off and just walk in and out of the room whenever you need to? But I set the contacts with people that be here, be present, because you never know when I'm going to call on you.
Absolutely. So I'm just very conscious of your time. So before I ask one more question, perhaps you could explain to people how they could learn more about you, follow your work, and make contact, and certainly to purchase your book or books for the future.
Yeah, and Dave, I feel so blessed and honored that you asked me to be on your podcast. And one of the things I love to do is because to me, time is one of the most valuable commodities we have. You've taken your valuable time to interview me, and I appreciate that. And more importantly, your audience has taken their valuable time to listen. And so what I love to do is anybody who is listening, I would love as a gift from you and I to them for taking their time. If they go to my website, robertriopel.com, just my name, robertriopel.com, they're actually going to be able to download the entire digital copy of my international bestseller, Success Left a Clue, as our gift to them. Not just a couple chapters, it's the entire book, but it does come with a caveat. See, step number 3 in this book is take action. In all the travels around the world, I've noticed the biggest difference between success and none is successful people take action. So I wrote this book as a workbook where there's action steps all the way through it. And when I give the action steps out, as you know from reading it, there's times where I'll go, if you did not read or do the last action, stop reading right now, go back and do the action before you read more. Because I promise you, if you do the actions, your life will change. And so that's a gift I'd love for your audience to be able to have. And they can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just put my name in and it'll come up. And that's how they can follow me. And coming at the beginning next year, I'm looking to release my newest book, The Authority Key. Excited about that. And that one is not going to be just about how do you become an authority by writing a book or doing a podcast. It's who are you as the person to be able to handle the success that comes with being an authority. So we do a lot of inner work in it.
That's very generous of yourself to give that gift to people. So one more question, if I may, just before you disappear. We talked about the dream boards, we talked about the visualizations. It's often said that before you can become something, you need to, or become somebody or a future person, you need to act in that way. You need to project the fact that you're already there. Do you believe that is correct? And how do people go about that? That can feel quite uncomfortable to almost like pretend to be something you're not.
Well, you said a key right there, uncomfortable. If you're just going to stay comfortable, you're going to stay in your comfort zone and nothing will change. So yes, absolutely. One of my favorite processes to do is once I get people to really put their dreams down and write them down, is then we do what's called a reunion process. Picture that you're back with the same group of people 3 years from today, and everything you did put down on your dreams has come true. And as you walk around meeting people, have a 3 to 5 minute conversation of like, oh my God, Dave, it's great to see you. You wouldn't believe what's happened since we last saw each other. I've now become a bestseller. I've now been able to do this. What's going on in your life? And you do it with energy. You're acting as if, that's the key kind of terminology to it, acting as if it's already happened. And that puts out a very powerful message to the universe that you're already seeing it complete. And your vibration that you put out, the universe is looking to match that vibration. That's all the law of attraction is. Like attracts like. And if you're putting out an energy and a vibration of, oh, worry, doubt, and all that, you're going to get worry, doubt coming back. But if you put out the energy of completion, excitement, that's what you're going to get back. So I love doing those kind of processes. I believe it's a critical part of achieving your success because it gets you uncomfortable, which tells you you're growing.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, once again, thank you very much for your time. It's been absolutely fantastic to listen to all those informative things, all those nuggets, which we'll relish trying to find those back out and put them out to the audience when I obviously tell everybody about this podcast when it comes up. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'd love to be able to talk to you again one day.
Yeah, anytime. You ask, I love to stay connected. Even after the podcast and all that, if there's any way I can be of assistance, do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Well, thank you very much once again, and take care.
Thanks, Dave.
So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.